So I saw Thor: Love and Thunder the other day, and it was not good. So like, let's start with the acting. So like within like the first like 15 seconds of the movie, you tell like nobody gave a shit. Gore's acting is like terrible. Like I have no idea what the hell happened. It has to be the direction, because the actor is fine from what I could tell. His daughter dies in his arms, and his like response is like a. It's like, what the fuck? You should be bawling. That's the best you can do. And it's like actually like really funny that like 10 minutes later they have a joke where like a stage actor has to spray on tears. It's like, huh, maybe they should have fucking done that for the opening scene of the movie. There's like some other minor like fuck ups. Like one point in time in the movie, Thor pronounces Quetzalcoatl as like Quetzal or something like that, and like I guess nobody on set like corrected him, told him that was wrong. So I have no idea what the fuck happened there. In terms of the visuals, like the design of Gore is just Kratos. Like it's really boring. Like we've seen it 100,000 times. But he's like not buff enough to be like Kratos and like intimidating. So he's just like this like weird like Joker knockoff, but like the really bad one. I thought like the CG in the movie was okay. It definitely looked fake. For like some reason, like the visual style of like the Shadow Realm, which is like, you know, part of the movie where the visuals should really shine, is like inconsistent. Like all of a sudden, like halfway through the movie, it becomes like dark and grayscale, and it's like that. Why was it not like they don't explain why it wasn't like that beforehand? In fact, they even comment on it. It's like, what, this wasn't happening, huh? I don't know if this is gonna like resonate with like a lot of other people, but like sort of semi spoilers. I don't know if it's really spoilers. They have Eternity in the movie at some point. Eternity just looks like dog shit. Like it's like it looks so bad. Like I'm gonna throw like the two images on screen. Like compare this to this. Like this looks fucking terrible. And so then like the characters, I don't really like any of the none of the characters are really interesting at all. First off, like why were the Guardians in this movie? Like they didn't do anything. And as far as I'm aware, there's no movie with Thor and the Guardians that they had to pick it off from. Like why the hell was he with the Guardians? What the fuck was the point of that? They just wanted to have like a better movie in their movie, I guess. Throughout the movie, like Thor has this like rock thing that's his like companion, and I just fucking hate him. He's like so bland, and he has like no charisma. And he like ruins the tone of any scene he's in. Like he's like this like jokey, like this like quirky joke maker that all movies have now. I get it. I understand. Like he like does this thing where he perfectly reads and understands like all the characters, like to the point where he's like, you know, should be omniscient, except for the fact that he like is like a tone deaf moron most of the time and doesn't understand like basic interactions. So it's like, what the fuck? The worst part is he's actually like kind of like, if you want to read into it, he's really insulting, because like he's the only actually like actively gay character in the movie, and he's like this stupid tone deaf comic relief one that like doesn't act socially normal. So it's like, what the fuck? Like why the hell would you do that? That's really, really not good. Then like the villain has like inconsistent motivation. Like he hates the gods because they don't actually care, but then he like does find a god that clearly does really care, and his first response to this is to kidnap the mortal children. Like, what the fuck? Who are you protecting? Wasn't this your whole job? Was to not hurt those? Like, sometimes he's, like, crazy, like the Joker, and other times he's, like, angry, and he is misunderstood, and at some point in the movie, he, like, starts being able to read people's minds and, like, tell their whole, like, histories and pasts and their emotions. Like, when the fuck did he do that? Like, does a sword tell him? Since when did that happen? There's, like, this, like, joke. Two, like, stage directors in Asgard that, like, when there's, like, a tragedy, like, their first response is like, oh, should we make a play about this? And it's like, no fucking people, like, act like that. And, like, it was just annoying. And don't say it was a joke, because it wasn't funny. Like, if it's a joke, it has to be funny. There's, like, a kid that's, like, a spoiler, so I won't name them. But they don't act like a kid at all. Like, they talked, like, yeah, how, like, no kid fucking talks. The music was fucking horrendous in this movie. Like, the music is all, like, repurposed radio hits, and it's just terrible. Like, the songs don't fit the scenes at all, and they like pull you really out of the movie. Instantly, I hated the soundtrack within like the first like 5 minutes of the movie, because the like backstory where like Thor is being run into the battle as a baby, and like a baby character is set to Who Can Say. It's like, what the fuck? Who made that decision? But like the biggest issue with this movie, and there are a lot of issues, but the biggest issue is that this movie has no tone. Like it has no tone at all. Like the first scene of the movie is like really like dramatic and like, you know, like cool like villain backstory, and then it like whiplashes to like this like terrible Marvel logo with like a fucking like guitar riff like from Guitar Hero, like, and then like it like then switches to like comedy relief, and like at some points in the movie it tries to be like dramatic and like really like emotional, and then like it cuts to like that fucking stupid rock thing being dumb as shit. And it's like, okay, like, what the fuck are you going for? Like, you can't, like, have it all, you can't do all tones simultaneously. That doesn't work. And, like, another really weird thing is that the bad guy is completely right. Like, the best read of the movie is that the bad guy was correct the whole time. Like, besides Thor, every other god really is an asshole, so they should die. In fact, it's even, like, directly demonstrated to the main characters that every other god is fucking worthless and a terrible person. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, they should be siding with Gore. I will give it this. It does make the scene, and it's kind of a spoiler, so skip like 30 seconds ahead. It does make the scene where, like, Thor, like, shoots a lightning, or, like, throws a lightning bolt back at Zeus and kills him, is, like, actually probably, like, really cathartic. Like, it's the high point of the movie. So I'll give it that. That was, like, a really awesome scene. I enjoyed watching that. If the movie was just that, this would be a good movie. Like, so the plot, like, it's kind of all over the place. And it isn't really, like, refined. Like, it needed, like, a few more, like, revisions in the writing board. I guess this is, like, plot stuff now, so this is the end of, like, the non-spoiler part of the review. So, if you want a number score for it, I don't know, it's probably, like, a 4 out of 10. It's not good. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's, like, not worth your time at all. So, like, in terms of the plot, so, like, there's, like, this pointless scene where Jane explains, like, the Einstein-Rosen gates, like, to some kid, and like, it goes on for so long that, like, you think it's going to be, like, a Chekhov's gun. It's going to be brought up later. It's going to be, like, a theme of the movie. There's going to be portals and stuff. And then it's never brought up again, and so it's like, why did we spend 4 minutes on this? Like, usually when you spend that long on an idea, it's brought up again. That's how you make a movie. And it doesn't feel like there's any stakes throughout the movie. Like, Thor and his friends are, like, demonstrated to be, like, insanely more powerful than any other being in the entire, like, universe. Like, every fight they, like, win easily. And, like, he beats up all the other gods, and he, like, when he first fights Gore, like, they just, like, fucking kick his ass, and he runs away. But then, like, later on, like, they go to, like, his room, and he, like, overpowers them, and they, like, can barely move. And so it's like, where the hell did that come from? But then eventually, like, Thor just says, alright, I'm done with this, and then, like, breaks them all out in one move anyway. So it's like, where's the fucking stakes in the movie? The romance in the movie is, like, super rushed and, like, really forced. Like, they're all of a sudden, like, Thor and Jane are really madly in love with each other again. Even if they, like, never moved on from when they, like, broke up, no relationship actually works like that. Like, no real relationship works like that. It's not realistic at all. And then there's like this part of the movie where, like, at the beginning of the movie, they say, like, oh, well, he could be leading us into a trap. And so it's like, okay, they know it's going to be a trap. And, like, later on, there's, like, a dramatic reveal by the villain. And he's like, oh, I want them to come here. And it's, like, supposed to be, like, a dramatic reveal. And you're like, huh? I thought we already knew it was a trap. Then later on, they go there. And all of a sudden, Jane, like, screams, like, it's a trap. And it's like, of fucking course it was a trap. You knew this. What the fuck? And then, like, part of the movie is, like, he like, steals Stormbringer and, like, uses it to open up the gates to eternity. Isn't Stormbringer, like, a sentient axe that disobeys its user, like, all the time? Like, he, like, talks back to Thor most of the movie. Or she, or it. It, like, but then, like, Gore just, like, steals it and it, like, works for him perfectly. And it's like, if it's a sentient axe, why doesn't it just not work? It can't simultaneously be a living character and then also, like, a mindless tool that the villain can use to destroy the universe. How the fuck is he gonna use it? How? Why does it work for him? At some point in the movie, like, Jane's trying to come up with, like, her superhero, like, a line. And they're, like, really bad, and there's, like, a comedic scene. And, like, later on in the movie, she, like, there's, like, an action scene, and she, like, says them anyway. And, like, the scene, like, is trying to lead it to be, like, awesome and epic. But, like, the stakes aren't high enough, and the scene isn't epic enough. There's, like, no tension, so the battle cries aren't, like, epic at all. Like, I know what they were going for, but it wasn't that. They were just still, like, just as cringeworthy as when they were on the first scene, but, like, they don't realize it anymore. And so, I don't know. This movie fucking sucked. Thor fans, like, can't get a break between, like, this and that Miles Morales fucking comic. Like, if you're a Thor fan, I, like, feel, like, really bad for you. I'm so sorry. That's it.